Welcome to Sleepless Readings. Tonight we'll be reading a tale called The Dead Cannot Drown.
I found this out the hard way when I shoved the kid's fragile head into the bucket of ice-cold water. Bubbles rose from the side of his head, but he didn't struggle like the others. Instead, he simply accepted that he was going to die and laid down in the bucket. It was only after 3 minutes that I questioned how he was still alive. I heard that 3 minutes underwater is the greatest feat that can be done by mankind. But when the steady stream of bubbles didn't stop, I pulled him up by the hair and he smiled at me unnaturally, almost like someone had taken a knife to his cheek and cut it wide open. I stared, unable to look away from the horrifying sight. What you just heard is a recount of what just happened. I am a human trafficker. Imagine a white van and a creepy man offering you candy and other sweet goods. And that's me. They come into my van, then I pump the back of the van with chloroform. The most common misconception of chloroform is that it doesn't make someone sleep or knock them out instantly. It takes anywhere from around 5 to 30 minutes. I use that time efficiently and hastily rush towards my house, phone my accomplice who works with the black market, and tell him that I've got a live one. He's still locked in my basement, and before I go down and accept my fate, I want to get this off my chest. We use a non-traceable phone number and a private telephone line. I don't like my job, but I have nothing left after prison. So I got myself a Tor browser, a secure homemade VPN, and started looking for jobs that don't take much effort. I just so happened to stumble on human trafficking. I contacted my current dealer, and we would meet right after I killed the child. He would then ask me to load the body in his trunk, wrapped in a large black trash bag, and he would zoom off. After a few weeks, I would get 75% of the profits, about $550,000. There were a few times where I had escaped the police by lying and giving fake identifications. The first time I was in a tight situation was when an overweight cop pulled me over for speeding and asked for my identification. I pulled out a driver's license with my face on it, but not my name. I still had a criminal background, and I didn't want to be arrested on the pretense of acting strange. He looked over my ID for 7 long minutes and sparked hard to find a defect within the perfected forged document. He moved his glasses up and down, probably hoping for some action. Then he asked about my mask and why I was wearing it. I started to sweat, and my spine heated up. I felt my cheeks fire up, and I stuttered out that I was spray painting for a client on their property. The cop bought this and returned to his car. 2 years later, and I'm still doing it. At first, it was just for some quick cash, but I've learned to enjoy it now. As sick and twisted as this is, I enjoy deceiving young children and chloroforming them. It gives you a sense of God, and now God is coming to confront me with my sins. The boy in the basement is calling my name. His raspy voice is like nails on a blackboard. His voice is rusty as an old nail, and his throat must be drier than the sun. His voice calls and beckons me to come down and play with him. But I know the moment I go down, he'll kill me. I can feel his eyes on me, even through 2 floors of wood. That sick smile is probably still plastered across his face, knowing that he'll get revenge for all his fellow friends that I have kidnapped. I have done abominable things to those taken away. I can feel the anguish that their families must have felt when their kids never returned from playing outside. Let me tell you some of my stories. The day started like any other, and I drove about 20 kilometers to my nearest neighborhood, sat around in my van, and waited for some kids to come outside and play. It was just after noon when I saw the boy come out of his house and started to play with his tennis ball in the garden. I checked my watch, mentally pumped my fist in the air, slowly approached him, and picked up the ball he had just thrown for him. I smiled kindly and asked him if he wanted to go somewhere magical. He obliged, and I put him in the back seat and started pumping the van full of chloroform. I put on my gas mask and sped off down the road towards my house. When we reached the house, I carried him down to the basement, and I tied his hands behind his back and against the sturdy wooden chair. He stirs faster than most children, and I was quite surprised when he whispered,
"You made a mistake today."
It felt more like a statement rather than a taunt or a challenge. I jokingly asked him if he wanted to be a ransom target. He coldly replied with,
"My parents are dead. My grandparents are dead. My brothers and sisters are dead. And you soon will join them."
That's when I ran upstairs and wrote this. I want all human traffickers to know that your actions have consequences, and the boy will find you. All my doors have been locked from the outside, and my windows are all jammed. The house is pitch black, and my phone is the only light in the house. My phone is very low on battery now. I only have 4% left. After I post this, I will head downstairs and let the boy take me. Remember, the dead can't drown.
Thank you for listening. That was The Dead Cannot Drown.
Don't forget to like the video, it does help to boost the channel.
Leave a comment for the algorithm.
There's new stories every Sunday.
Not to mention the shorts on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So subscribe.
And ring the bell.
Thanks, guys. And as always, stay sleepless.